Here we are in a test environment. This site is the top of the site collection. And in order to get started, I want to evaluate and create site columns because we've already done the planning. So we're already on step 2. In order to do that in SharePoint 2013, we're going to go all the way over to the right-hand side and click on the cog, which is now the settings icon. From the settings drop-down, I'm going to choose Site Settings. Remember, we're creating this at the top of the site collection so that we can use it throughout the entire site collection. Now, if you do have multiple site collections, consider creating these site columns and content types within the Content Type Hub. The Content Type Hub would allow you to have all site collections within your farm subscribe to a Content Type Hub. That means regardless of what site collection, you can make sure that people are using the same content types. So let's get started. Under Web Designer Galleries, we're going to choose Site Columns. Click on Site Columns, and our first task is to evaluate and then create any custom site columns that are needed. From the drop-down on the right-hand side, I'm going to go to Core Document Columns because I happen to know within this group we already have the author site column. Why recreate the wheel? Now, I also happen to know that subject, rating, pages, and time are not included within the out-of-the-box site columns that ship with SharePoint. So we're going to click the Create button, and this template is going to look very much like it does if we're creating a list column or a library column. So we're going to put in the name. We're going to call this Entertainment Subject, and we'll make it a choice column. Scrolling down, this is the one difference between a list and library column and a site column when you're creating it. In order to easily find the site column later, we're going to put it in a new group called Entertainment Site Columns. That means all of the site columns I'm going to create for these entertainment content types will go into this new group, Entertainment Site Columns. Now be aware, if you forget to put it in this new group, it's just going to default into custom columns. Nothing's going to happen. So I only have to create this new group once. And now I can choose, do I want to make it that it is a required column? Do I want to enforce unique values? Which, by the way, if you choose to enforce unique values on a choice column, that means however many choices you have, that's exactly the row of numbers of data that you can have. Never use enforce unique values on a choice column. Drives me crazy. All right, this is entertainment subject, so we'll do action adventure. We'll do comedy. We'll do rom-com, which is apparently the new word for romantic comedy. We'll do horror. And then for music, we'll put rock, rap, folk. We'll leave it as a drop-down. A radio button would display all of our choices at once, and checkboxes would display all of our choices at once and allow our users to make multiple selections. However, if you are going to use checkboxes, understand that it's going to impede your ability to filter and sort. So take that into consideration before you allow your users to select multiple options. Now, we could leave action adventure as defaulted. However, ET would have then been action adventure if I've forgotten to select horror. And this is how we got into the problem in the first place. So I'm going to delete that default value and click OK. Now we have entertainment subject. We're going to create entertainment rating. Again, click the Create button, put in the title, entertainment rating. I'm going to make this again a choice box. I try to use choices or managed metadata whenever possible, because I have a better chance of actually getting data from my users. Now that we've already created that entertainment site column group the last time, from this existing group dropdown, we'll now find entertainment site columns. So simply select that and now put in our choices, which are children, teens, adults, and mom. And again, I'm going to leave it as a drop down because that takes up the least amount of room on my new item edit and view form. Not going to leave it defaulted to children. That's what got us in the problem in the first place. Let's go ahead and click OK. And now let's create the number of pages. Entertainment pages. I'm going to make this a number. However, I am going to limit my users. Going to go ahead and put it in the entertainment site columns. I'm going to limit my users to 0 decimal places because I know otherwise I'll get an engineer in here and he's going to say it's 237.23 pages long. So I'm just going to limit that to no decimal places. However, when I create the entertainment runtime, how long does it take the movie to run, I'm going to use a number column again, but this time, after putting it in the entertainment site columns group, I am going to say, allow the user to enter 2 decimal places. Now, here's something. Your users actually want to fill in the information correctly. Nobody wants to be wrong. So, if you want your users to enter the information in a particular format, use this description field to give your users an example. So here I'm going to put 1 hour, 45 minutes equals 1.75. Now my users know the format that I'm looking for. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. Now I think you've got the idea of creating site columns, so we're going to skip over the year published column for now. Now we're going to go to step 2. We've already built our site columns, so we'll go on to step 3 and 4, which means we're going to create our content types and then add site columns. And I like to go back and forth on this. So I'll create a content type, add all the site columns. I'll create another content type, add all the site columns. And that way I know that everything's getting done in order. So meanwhile, back at the test environment, in the breadcrumb here, we're going to click on Site Settings. And from Site Settings, we're going to go to the Site Content Types. Now remember, we had diagrammed out 3 content types, but we're actually going to create 4. We're going to create a entertainment parent, and we're going to include the columns that all 3 types of entertainment have in common, which are going to be author, subject, and rating. Now, the reason why we're doing this is because we'll create the entertainment parent, then we'll create the book content type, and it will inherit the properties from the entertainment parent, which means it's also going to inherit those columns that we've already added to it. Let's take a look at how that's done. Click the Create button, and we're going to give this content type a name. Remember, we're creating the entertainment parent, and again, we're at the highest level that we can be within our site collection or within our farm. So we'll call this entertainment, well, we'll capitalize it just for fun, entertainment parent. And I'm even going to put in the description, do not add to lists or libraries, because it's there for maintenance only. Now this first content type is going to inherit from an out-of-the-box content type, just like site columns SharePoint ships with out-of-the-box content types. When we're in an announcement list, that content type is the announcement content type. When we're in a library, that content type is a document content type. So just like site columns, content types are put into the groups. So here we have the parent content type from dropdown, that is from a particular group. And we're going to choose the list content types because we're going to store rows of data that describe each type of entertainment. Now, I don't want the announcements content type simply because it comes with expires date, it comes with body and announcement or title. It's just too much, and quite frankly, I can't even delete the expires column. So one of the content types that you're going to make the most use of is probably item when you're going to be storing things within lists. The reason is because it comes with the least number of columns as any of the other content types. It comes with title, created, created by, modified, modified by, and that's about it. Now remember, just like in our site columns, we're going to create a new group to store all of our entertainment content types. So this one's going to be entertainment content types. And we click OK. So now we've created our entertainment parent content type, and our next step is to add site columns. So what we're going to do is under columns, we're going to choose add from existing site columns. Notice that title is already here because we inherited that column from the item content type. So now let's click Add from Existing Site Columns. And remember, at this entertainment parent level, we're only adding all of the site columns that all of the content types have in common. So from the Select Columns From dropdown, let's choose our entertainment site columns. And here we have the custom columns we just created. We're not going to put in pages because that's only pertaining to books and not to music or movies. Entertainment rating pertains to all three. Same with entertainment subject. Now we also need author. Now, we knew that that was in a particular group before, but let's pretend we forgot. Don't panic. You don't have to memorize where all the site columns come from. Simply click on percent complete from the available columns box and start typing the name of your column. I type in AU, I have author, double click that, and now these are all the columns that will be added to the entertainment parent site content type. Now, if I did come back later and make a change and I wanted to propagate that down through all the children under the entertainment parent, I would just want to make sure that this is set to yes, update all content types inheriting from this type. Currently, we don't have any. We're going to click the OK button. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't particularly care for the order that these site columns are in. This is also the order that the fields are going to appear on the new form, edit form, and display form. So, scrolling down just a little bit, we're going to choose column order, and we're going to change the order of the columns. I like title first, but then I want the author, then I want the subject, and then I want the rating. So once we have them in the correct order, we go ahead and click OK. Now we've got title, author, entertainment subject, and entertainment rating. Guess what? Time to create book. So we're going to click on Site Content Types. That takes us back to the Site Content Types gallery. Click Create again, and we'll call this book. Now anything that I type here in the description will appear in the new item dropdown. So I'm going to put in here, select this option to create an entry for a book. Now, instead of choosing from the list content types group, as we did when we created our entertainment parent, we want to go into the entertainment content types and select entertainment parent. Now, granted, that is the only content type that we currently have in that group, but once we create book, we'll need to make sure that we select the correct content type for movie to inherit the behaviors of. Here in our existing group, where do we want the book content type to live? I'd like it to live with all of the other entertainment content types. Click OK. Here's where the magic happens, people. Look at that. We've already got most of our columns. The only thing we're going to have to do is add pages. You see how this little bit of planning, little bit of setup is really going to stand you in good stead as you move throughout your implementation and as you're developing more robust solutions. So now we have all the columns that we're going to need in order to describe a book. So let's go back to the content types gallery, and now we're going to create movie. Click create, type in movie. Again, in the description, select this option to create an entry for a movie. Again, we're going to select from the entertainment content types, and notice this time it's defaulted to the book content type. That's because the parent content type default is going to be set to the first content type within the group selected, alphabetically speaking. But because we don't want to have pages to describe our movies, we're going to make sure to select the entertainment parent. And again, this movie content type is going to live in the entertainment content types group. Click OK. Again, we inherit all of the columns from the entertainment parent. Notice here it is, entertainment parent. And all we have to do is add from existing, go to our entertainment site columns and choose runtime. Click OK. And now our movie content type is done. Let's take a moment though before we move on to step 5, pulling these content types into a list or library, and take a look at the content type settings. Name, description, and group. We can change the name of the content type. We can change the description. We can also change which group it's in. Notice we cannot change the parent. This means that you have to select the correct parent the first time. If you don't, you have to delete the content type and start over. We'll go ahead and cancel out of this. Advanced settings. Once I get my content type set up, I like to set them to read only so that my users who may not have a full understanding of what they're doing can't make changes to the content type. Now, when I'm ready to make changes to the content type, I simply go into the content type, set this to no again so that I can edit it, make my changes. When I'm done and I've pushed everything out, I change this to yes. And also we can push any updates out into the entire site collection or across the farm, update all content types inheriting from this type. Workflows. We can create a workflow that's attached to a particular content type. We can also add a workflow directly here, so we can make use of any of the out-of-the-box workflows. We can create a reusable workflow and attach it to this content type. Let's go ahead and go back to the content type here. Information management policies. You can say, let's say this were the contract content type. We could say anytime, anywhere that the contract content type is used, it should be retained for 7 years past the date it was signed. That's our information management policy. We assign it to the content type. Wherever that content type is in use, that content type will be held for whatever we set up. So let's say we do by the date it was created, and we want to hold it for 7 years past the date it was created. What do we want to do when it's done? We have many choices. Permanently delete, transfer to another location. This works great if you're using a record center. Start a workflow. Perhaps you want to notify the author or the team who owns it. Skip to the next stage if you have multiple stage retention. Declare it a record. Delete previous drafts. Delete all previous versions. This was more important in 2010 because we didn't have shredded storage with our versions. So going back into our content type again. There we go. And delete this site content type. You're going to be very careful with this because once this content type is in use, it's very, very challenging to delete. So just be aware. Make sure you get it right before you start propagating it out through your site collection or your entire farm. Well, I don't think we need to actually create the music content type because I think you've got the gist of it. So let's move on to step 5, which is adding this content type or these content types to a list or library. Now remember, we created all of these up on the Tamara team site, which is the parent of this site collection, but we're going to go down to subsite 1 just so I can show you that we can indeed use these content types with different lists and libraries and sites within our site collection. So again, going over to the settings cog, upper right hand corner of SharePoint 2013. And what we're going to do is we're going to add an app. Apps are the new word for lists and libraries. So I'm going to add an app, and it's going to happen to be a custom list app. So here's my custom list app. I click the icon, and guess what we're going to name this? Yes, I know, it's really challenging to guess. You're right. It's going to be the entertainment list. I'm going to go ahead and click create. Now, one thing that I found a little disturbing when I first did this, in 2010, it would open up directly within that new list or library that you created. Now, it keeps you on the site contents page, and you have to click into it. Luckily, we have this little new icon to call out which one we just created, which is really helpful unless you're creating 19 lists or libraries on the same day. Then it's less helpful. So we click into the entertainment list. First thing we need to do is we need to allow multiple content types within this list or library. Click on the List tab. We're going to go into List Settings. So over here on the ribbon in the Settings group, click on List Settings. And in the General Settings group, we're going to go to Advanced Settings. Now, let's take a moment here. Under General Settings, Permissions and Management and Communications, notice we have columns. That's about to change. So under General Settings, let's click Advanced Settings. And from here, Allow Management of Content Types. We're going to say yes. And this is going to allow us to have multiple types of content in a single location. Scroll down to the bottom and click OK. Now you'll notice under General Settings, Permissions and Management and Communications, Content Types. We now have content types between our settings and our columns. What we're going to do is we're going to add from existing content types. Remember, we just created them. So add from existing, we're going to go to the Entertainment group. Notice the description that we put in is showing up here when it's highlighted. Double-click Book. Do we want to add the parent? No. We do not want to add the parent. It says do not add it to lists of libraries, but we do want to add the movie. So now we have book and movie. Click OK. And when we go back to the entertainment list and we go to the items tab, and in the new group, we choose the new items dropdown. Notice we have the default item. That's the default content type for our custom list, but we also have a book entry and a movie entry. If we click book, notice it's going to ask us for all of our descriptive information plus the number of pages. If we cancel out of here and from the items dropdown, we choose movie, it's going to ask us for all the descriptive information and runtime. We're going to go ahead and cancel out of here. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like from the new items dropdown that it has item, because if my user clicks on item, all they have to do is fill in a title, and that's not enough information. Also, because item is the first one in the dropdown, that means it's the default content type. So if my user were to click on new item, it would be the title. Let's see how we can change that. Again, we're going to go to the List tab, and on the far right-hand side of the ribbon in the Settings group, we're going to choose List Settings. And from here, scrolling down to our Content Types group, we're going to change New Button Order and Default Content Type. Go ahead and click on that and simply deselect Item. The nice thing about that is book will move up to place 1, movie up to place 2. Anything in this first position is going to become our default content type. I now click OK. Go back to the Entertainment list, and from the New Items dropdown, I can select Movie. Notice item didn't show up. We'll call this Ghost. The author, I think it's Spielberg. I don't know. I also can't spell his name. Don't call him and tell him, please. I'd appreciate it. I think it's supposed to be a romantic, but not a comedy. Rating, I think adults can see it. There's some stuff I don't want to share. To me, it felt like 900 hours and 45 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And also, I can click on Add New Item. That's going to give us our default content type, which is book, which we know here. Green eggs and ham. Or just greens and ham, which sounds healthier. Dr. Seuss. And we're going to call that comedy. And I think we can share that with children. I happen to know it's 74 pages long. Somebody looked it up for me on Amazon.com. Now, it's not showing us our metadata, but what we can do is click on this ellipse here. Here's our all item view. Here's the ellipse. Click on that. We can create another view if we'd like. We can call it Entertainment. And we can choose to share those columns with people. We've got title, we've got author, we've got pages, rating, runtime, subject. We'll scroll down and we'll click OK. Now it says it's zeroed out. It really hasn't. That's the exciting part of this test environment. So now I have an all items view. I have an entertainment view. Click on that and here we go. Now, for some odd reason, it only displays 3 views across here, and then you have to go to the ellipse for additional views. I'm still looking for a way to show additional views. So that's just one way that we can use content types. This means our users can come here, put in all their different types of entertainment. They can be managed by the same group. They can be handled differently, but we're only asking our users to fill in the information that best describes the type of content that they want to store. Now, remember I said if we wanted to make a change to the content types, we would go back up to the parent site. Here we are back at Tamara's team site. From the settings group, we go into site settings. Now I can go into the site content types. Let's say now I wanted to add the year published. So I'm going to pull up that entertainment parent again. Here's entertainment content types. Open the entertainment parent. Now I haven't created year published yet, but notice here I can choose add from new site column. And here I'm going to put in entertainment published. I'm going to actually leave this as a single line of text. If I do a date and time, it's going to request that my user put in an actual month, day, and year. They probably won't have that information. If I choose a number, so they can put in, say, 1984, it's going to add a column. So it'd be one column 984. That, quite frankly, freaks out my users. So I'm going to leave it as a single line of text, but I'm going to limit the number of characters to 4, and I'm going to give my users a clue. Year equals year, and you could even put example 1984. All right. Now it says update all content types inheriting from this content type. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I made that change in one location. Guess what's happened? It has pushed that change down to all of the content types that are inheriting from entertainment parent and in all the locations where those content types are currently in use. So now if I go to entertainment, I click on book, here's the year published. I made the change once. It's now available everywhere. I love that feature.